Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I consider that in order to figure out things in the world, you have to find a certain wavelength. And once you find that wavelength, you're gonna be able to look behind the smoke screen that these guys are putting in front of their actions or their words. And it seems like this member of Pink Floyd was able to do that, and I'm actually impressed. Not because he says things that I might agree with, but because he seems very informed. And not very informed, because to be informed you have to look at all the sides, as many angles or sides of the story as possible, and then you verify them and you put them together and you have an understanding, more understanding of the issue than a person who is a hack or an activist who sees things only from one angle. And it's very easy. In this case, poke my eyes here, injure my. So in this case we have Roger Waters, and he was invited to speak on CNN by CNN, and CNN, not necessary for me to explain what CNN does. And the problem is he is with an activist, with a hack. He talks with a guy whose name is, I think, Michael Smerconish. Now, this is the weasel. I would like you to look at him very well and keep him. Maybe you know this guy, because I heard this guy talk, and I heard him talk with someone very calm, an intellectual, a person who is very, I don't know, mild. His name is, but he died, Stephen Cohen. He was a Russian study professor, fantastic guy, very well read. He was Jewish, American scholar, but he was very smart. I admired him a lot. He was intelligent. He knew his shit. Let's put it this way. And you can watch him. He's on YouTube, and he has an interview with this hack, Smerconish. And this Smerconish is such a disrespectful, bizarre money changer. Unfortunately, speaking with Cohen. And Cohen he loses his frame, Cohen, in front of this hack, because the conversation was not intellectual. Was a ugly, disrespectful. Watch that if you want to get angry, but make sure you got a lot of alcohol first, so you are relaxed. So not because you might do something. This comes from Yahoo, Consequence, whatever, August 7th. This is the title. Roger Waters calls Biden a I'm quoting, war criminal, end quote, and defends Russia and China in CNN interview. Now this is Roger Waters, and he's all right, this is a gentleman. He was in the news a few more times before this one caught my eye right now, where he said certain very unpopular things, but he can, because I like people who have money and really have nothing to lose, but they go and tell things the way they are. There are other people who have a lot of money, but they still hold their mouth shut, even though they think differently than they talk. And some of them, it's unbelievable, and they don't come to the fight. Why? They're gonna lose from let's say $50 billion. He's gonna lose about $3 billion, and they're all, oh my God, I'm not gonna say that. It's too late. But nevertheless, see what this guy is saying. The post Roger Waters calls Biden a war criminal, defends Russia and China in CNN interview appeared first on Consequence. Now, he's not defending, he's bringing evidence, but if you bring the evidence to support your case that run against your non-evidence or your very narrow evidence that you provide, that's defending. You know, You can. So that would be like you have a perpetrator and you're the victim, and the victim tries to make his or her case, and they say, well, you defend yourself. Well, I bring evidence, obviously, to defend what you're saying it happened. But anyway, it says here, I'm gonna start reading it. Amidst his ongoing "This is not a drill" tour, Roger Waters sat down with CNN's Michael Smerconish to discuss the overall political themes and messages presented at his concert. Smerconish began the interview by asking Waters why he labeled President Joe Biden a quote-unquote war criminal. And now this is what Waters said. Well, I'm quoting, well, he's fueling the war in the Ukraine. The former Pink Floyd member responded, and I'm quoting again, this is a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky to negotiate, obviating the need for this horrific, horrendous war? The question. And when Smerconish pointed out that Waters was, quote-unquote, blaming the party who got invaded. This is, you're blaming, you're guilty. Waters countered by criticizing NATO for forcing Russia's hand. And I'm quoting, well, any war, when did it start? What you need to do is look at the history, and you can say, well, it started on this day. You could say it started in 2008. This war is basically about the action and reaction of NATO pushing right up to the Russian border, which they promised they wouldn't do when Gorbachev negotiated with the withdrawal of the USSR from the whole of Eastern Europe. End quote. Now, let's see how Smerconish reacts. Waters also dismissed Smerconish's argument that the US has a role of quote-unquote liberators. And I'm quoting again, you got into World War II because of Pearl Harbor. You were completely isolationists beforehand. Now, Smerconish is not really, but Waters is British, right? Isn't he? So Waters argued, thank God the Russians, the Soviets, had already won the bloody war by then. 23 million Russians, Soviets, died protecting you and me from the Nazi menace, end quote. Good. Now, and I'm quoting again what Waters said, I would suggest that you go away and read a bit more and try to figure out what the US would do if the Chinese were putting nuclear arms missiles into Mexico and Canada, end quote, Waters added. Well, the Smerconish knows these things. The problem is he has a job to do, and his job is activism. So he knows these things. So when Waters, for good reason, tells this guy, go and read, actually I'm pretty sure the other guy might know this evidence from his repetition of all kind of counter arguments that he had probably with others. Maybe he doesn't. I don't give him too much anyway. So when Smerconish noted that the Chinese are quote-unquote too busy encircling Taiwan as we speak, end quote, Waters fired back by proclaiming, end quote, Taiwan is part of China. That has been absolutely accepted by the whole of international community since 1948. If you don't know that, you aren't reading enough. You are believing your side's propaganda. You can't have a conversation about human rights and Taiwan without actually doing the reading, end quote. And then the Chinese didn't invade Iraq and kill 1 million people in 2013, Waters added, quote unquote. Who have the Chinese invaded and slaughtered? Question mark, end quote. And then Smerconish answered, their own. Referring, you see how it goes from one thing to another. He didn't answer about the Iraq war. Nothing. He didn't say anything about that. He didn't say it about the Second World War. He didn't counter that. He just switched to a different subject. It was not about that. Who they slaughter? Do you mean like countries? Not that. Like, you want to look at other things here? Over there? Who's not... I was about to say something. Zip it. So, because we can talk about the not Revolutionary War, 1864, 1865, right? The Secession War. They call it the Civil War. Who slaughtered who over there? Their own, right? All right, so their own Smerconish answer, referring to the Uyghurs and other most Muslim groups in who China have placed in re-education, is out of subject, but nevertheless. And Roger, I kept forgetting this guy's name for Waters. Roger Waters. He said, bollocks. That's absolutely nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. Water responded. He didn't give arguments in this case, Rogers, but you can watch the full interview below. Waters, this is not a drill tour. Runs to the middle of October. Tickets are available to purchase now. So I'm glad that this Rogers is not only a musician, but is also read at least about the subject, and he provided certain points that are valid, and the other guy did not fight him on the subject. He fought him in other stuff. But you should just watch this guy, Smerconish. He's just a I think he got in an argument, if I remember correctly, with Glenn Greenwald, and he got beaten on his butt. Him, or it was what's his name? I think it was George Galloway, but I'm not certain. One of these guys. This is not a journalist. This is just an activist, and he's so rude. He's very rude. I don't mind people being rude, but you want to be rude? Okay, let me know so I can smack you back. I'm good at that too, but this is not about that. He's very impolite. Well, it's okay. He got smacked by Rogers Waters. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.